Thank you guys. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, coaches, for letting me come out today. How you guys doing today? Good. Oh, no. You guys don't sound like you're ready to beat Lincoln Park. Come on, I'm gonna ask you one more time. How you guys doing today? Good. Yeah. That's more like it. That's what I thought. Well, thanks, guys. My name's Tyler Kleeman, and I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm really excited to speak to you today. And what we're gonna talk about today is overcoming adversity. And I wanted to share the definition of the word adversity, or a couple different definitions. Difficulty, misfortune, bad luck, trouble, disaster, suffering, or sorrow. So none of that stuff sounds too good, right? But the thing about life is adversity is guaranteed to happen. I know first and foremost from my life, I've dealt with a lot of adversity. I'm sure that every single person here in this room has dealt with their fair share of tough times and adversity in their life. And I actually wanted to share a quick story about a famous athlete that's dealt with a lot of adversity. I'm a huge fan of Jimmy Butler. Do you guys all know Jimmy Butler from the Chicago Bulls? So Jimmy Butler is an all-star, great player, and his life was not always the way it is today. I've actually followed Jimmy Butler's story really closely, and he actually was kicked out of his house when he was 13 years old by his parents, and he lived basically like crashed with different kids from his team and from his high school for several years in high school, was eventually adopted, and then ended up playing, getting into junior college, played a year of junior college basketball. Ended up getting into Marquette University, which is, a top university for basketball. Got drafted by the Chicago Bulls. Was not expected to be nearly the player that he is today. But he worked so hard from when he was drafted to now. So I actually read that not this summer, but the previous summer before, he hired one of the best trainers in the NBA and worked out 5 times a day. He cut off his cable TV. All he would do was sleep, eat, and work out 5 times a day, working on his game, lifting, conditioning, literally dedicated his life to that. And this past year, he was one of the best players in the NBA, as I'm sure most of you guys watched. Just signed a contract of almost $100 million. And now he's, one of the most famous athletes, not just in Chicago, but in the nation. So I just think that Jimmy Butler's story is a really prime example of someone that's dealt with a lot of adversity in their life and someone that's had to work really, really hard to get to where they are today. And really the point that I wanted to make about that is the way that you respond to adversity is really what matters. So the way that Jimmy reacted to the tough times that he had in his life, he didn't just roll over, he did actually the opposite. And the point about Jimmy is it takes a really strong person to shake off adversity. As a matter of fact, weak-minded people are the people that can't, when they face a tough obstacle, they're the people that can't move forward and look at it as a chance to succeed to the next opportunity. So I really want to encourage you guys to not get stuck on a bad play or a bad moment on the field today. I want you guys to be strong. Your coaches will notice that. Your parents, your teachers, people in the crowd, referees, scouts that might be at the game checking you guys out. Everyone will notice the way that you guys react to tough times on the field. And if you guys react the way that I'm encouraging you to react, I promise that you'll get some good feedback from all those types of people. And I just want to encourage you guys to kind of program your minds a certain way, start to think a certain way. It's this kind of concept I like to thinking of life as kind of like a movie. So in most movies that you watch, there's always a hero and a bad guy. And there's always a good scene and bad scenes. But in any movie that you watch, the hero always faces adversity, always faces tough times, and he always comes out on top. So I want you guys to really program your minds to think that way, that every time something tough is about to happen, it's getting you ready for the next big opportunity. I also wanted to share another story about a really famous athlete. You guys all know who Deion Primetime Sanders is? He's a little bit older. Yeah, you guys are football players, so I'm guessing you guys probably probably seen some Deion clips, right? Yeah. So Deion Sanders is someone that I follow really closely. He really inspires me a lot, and he actually was arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time. He played football and basketball. He was a 2-sport athlete, played in the NFL and Major League Baseball. He was a very good baseball player, but he was an incredible football player. And he actually won 2 Super Bowls back-to-back, one in 1994 with the San Francisco 49ers, and then in 95 with the Dallas Cowboys. And he was like the guy that if you signed him on your team, you were going to win. He was that good. And he covered 2 of the best wide receivers ever to play, Jerry Rice and Michael Irvin. And the thing about Deion Sanders that really, really inspires me is he also shared a story about how he had to work really, really hard to get where he was at, where he's been at in his life. And I actually watched his Hall of Fame speech, the speech he gave when he got inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. And he told a story about when he was in high school, when he was around your guys' age. He played for a traveling football team. And he said that it was a very wealthy team, and a lot of the kids' parents on the team were, doctors and lawyers and chief of police, and it was really that kind of team. And he said that he was ashamed because one of the kids on the team got hurt and went to the hospital, and they saw his mom pushing the cart in the hospital, and they made fun of him because that's what her job was. And he said at that time he felt really embarrassed and he was ashamed because the kids were just clowning him, making fun of him. And he said at that point in his life, he made a decision that he was going to do whatever it takes, not anything illegal, but he was going to do whatever it takes to make sure that his mom never had to work another day in her life. So from that day forward, he talked about how he worked so hard to become a great athlete. And he created this image, this thing called prime time, where he would wear, the bandanas, and he had jewelry, and he had, earrings and all gold chains and all this type of stuff. And, a lot of people kind of hated on him because they had never seen that kind of swagger that he had. But he talked about how even though people hated on him and they thought he was doing that stuff for the wrong reason, he did it because he wanted to make sure that he could do whatever it takes to make sure his mom never had to work another day in her life. And she definitely does not have to work another day in her life because he's a very, very successful man and he's lived a great life. And I tell you guys these stories about guys like Jimmy Butler and Deion Sanders because I want to really encourage you guys to think like they do. I want to encourage you guys to know that as you guys are young men, you can create a vision and a thought for who you want to be and what you want to do with your life. And if you can overcome adversity and tough times, not just on the field, but off the field, all you guys can become successful in whatever way that you want to become. And I just want to encourage you guys to think that way. And I want to encourage you guys to go out there today and think that any bad situations that happen on the field are getting us ready to beat Lincoln Park today on homecoming weekend. You guys with me? Yeah. Yeah? All right. So I want to thank you guys for listening to me, and why don't we huddle up right now? Let's put our hands up, and on 3, we're going to do beat Lincoln Park. All right? How's that sound? Yeah. All right. I want to hear it loud. You guys in here? All right, on 3, beat Lincoln Park. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, beat Lincoln Park! Oh, yeah. Let's go.